Hey-oh, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. You would think with the last week being full of the news of Daniel Bryan and CM Punk's imminent arrival to their big rival, AEW, that WWE would want to start righting the ship and maybe give us a decent episode of Monday Night Raw to watch for once. But lo and behold, the more things change, the more they stay the same, and Monday Night Raw is still the same old hot piece of garbage it always is, featuring all the same old staples and tropes as non-stop rematches, non-title matches where we see champions lose to establish a number one contender, and way too much Charlotte Flair and Nikki A.S.H. and so much more. We are going to talk about it all right here and right now. My name is Nick Nightmare. You are watching the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show's Monday Night Raw review and reaction show. Let's do it.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
What a terrible night of professional wrestling. Not the in-ring quality so much. We had a couple of entertaining matches, but it doesn't matter how good the quality of the match is when none of these matches are attached to any meaningful, deep-rooted story that I could get my head around or get my teeth into, or any other cliche you want to talk about, how I could be interested in what they're doing. It doesn't matter how great the match is if there's just nothing to it. And there wasn't really anything that great tonight. We had a Matt Riddle and Johnny Drip rematch, which was, of course, good because these guys can wrestle, but what does it mean? Why do we care? We got Matt Riddle still coming out, shooting fucking birds out his feet, and Randy Orton's nowhere to be found. Randy Orton probably thinks this whole idea is just as bad as I do, and he took off and decided to take a fucking vacation while he's in the middle of trying to put over Matt Riddle. I didn't mean to make that rhyme, but it did. He's in the middle of putting over Riddle, and he gets the fucking day off. He takes week after week after week off. And I know he don't take Matt Riddle that seriously. They're going to probably play it into part of the storyline, but where the fuck is Randy Orton? In fact, where was a lot of people tonight? Where was Kofi Kingston? Kofi Kingston is now dead and buried for good? I don't know. Maybe he was beaten so badly by Lashley we'll never see him again? Who knows? Who knows? No Kofi. No Xavier. Asuka was nowhere to be found. They gave her the night off because they can't figure out what the hell to do with Asuka. We didn't see Ricochet. You thought they were giving him a push, but boy, were you fooled. He's not even important enough to make it to the show tonight. Goldberg didn't think it was worth taking time out of his busy schedule, being 50-something years old, doing absolutely nothing at home, to come to Monday Night Raw and try to build a match that nobody wants to fucking see. Anyway, right, who else wasn't around tonight? Alexa Bliss, she too probably thinks her creative is so trash and the fans aren't getting behind it, and she's probably tired of hearing it, so she's like, you know what, I need the night off, let's just give tonight to fucking Lily. Let the doll take center stage and let me get some rest and go hang out with my buddy and my boyfriend back home or whatever. It's not Buddy Murphy anymore. I'm sorry, I made an incorrect statement. She's with some, other guy. I forget his name right now. He's not important. I don't give a shit. Anyway, let's move back on. Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax were not on this show, and that I'm grateful for. I certainly am not going to complain about that. However, in retrospect, I would rather have had to sit through another Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler match than have to see fucking Reginald on Monday Night Raw flipping around like a fucking jerk-off, which is all apparently he could do. I don't think the man can wrestle. He was out there doing a 24/7 avocado gold-plated championship title skit with the resident 24/7 clown R-Truth, and I love R-Truth a lot, but putting R-Truth in a segment with Reginald makes me not give a shit. Reginald is the R-Truth imposter that they gave to Carmella, and now he's face-to-face with the guy he's supposed to be impersonating, and R-Truth just wants his stupid green belt back. And then they have this altercation where R-Truth throws Reginald's jacket onto Reginald's head, and the guy wrestled the jacket more than he wrestled R-Truth. It's like he forgot how to use his arms or how to, take a fucking jacket off of your head? If somebody threw a jacket on your head, I mean, Truth wasn't even holding it on him. He just threw the jacket on his head, and then Reginald's sitting there having a whole fucking 20-minute classic with a jacket, with a blazer. What are we watching on this show? How ridiculous was some of the shit we had to see on this show? What is it with the WWE that makes them believe the only way to build up a viable contender to any championship on the roster is to have them defeat the champion? Now, this is something we've become accustomed to, especially when watching Monday Night Raw. They don't know what the hell they're doing, so they constantly do this, and they give us a new champion, and they bring them to Monday Night Raw, and then they beat them. They have them pinned to the mat, and oh, now this new person can challenge for the championship. Remember back in the day when we actually had people wrestling each other in matches that had meaning so that, whoever wins would build momentum and they can continue winning to earn a shot at a championship, and most likely if the champion was a heel, they would cheat to win in their first encounter. The heel would get himself disqualified or get himself counted out because he knew he was only 3 seconds away from losing because he may be just a little out of his league with his new incoming challenger, which then sets up a couple of weeks of the champ trying to get the best of the challenger, beating him up backstage, jumping him during interviews, maybe having brawls, leading us to a match at a pay-per-view like, say, SummerSlam, where the babyface, after all this work, trying to overcome the heel after coming so close, and the heel cheating to win his way to keeping the championship. Finally, at the pay-per-view, the babyface overcomes the heel, and we all celebrate. We all rejoice, and we can bask in the glory. But we can't bask in any glory because they don't do this. This is fucking Wrestling 101. If you go to wrestling school to learn how to book wrestling, this is a standard thing. This is just how basic match building and feuds work. That's how you do it. The story is to build the hero to finally overcome the villain. It's the same formula they use in every fucking Marvel movie that you've watched over the last 15 years. It's the same formula in any superhero movie or any action Hollywood movie. The hero is on a journey. It's classic in every single book in literature. It's the Lord of the Rings. It's Star Wars. It's how you do it. The hero's journey. It's very simple. But then we have nights like tonight, where Damian Priest goes out there and beats Sheamus because they have no other way to tell us that Damian Priest is the number one contender, when it would have been very easy. Where the last couple of weeks where you had him on TV doing nothing, you should have had him out there beating guys like Cedric Alexander, beating guys like Shelton Benjamin, establishing himself as a well-earned mid-card title contender. Then have him do the whole spiel I just said. Challenge the champ. Champ wins by cheating. Then he earns his rematch. For whatever reason, babyface overcomes. Slightly predictable, yes, but when done right and written by competent people who could make things entertaining and maybe possibly make it more about just one man going for the championship and give a deeper underlying story like revenge or trying to prove himself or whatever the case may be, that's what makes wrestling interesting. Not 50-50 booking, not having your champions beaten, especially when you have them beaten 7 days after winning the championship, which they did to Nikki A.S.H Cross Ash tonight. Why would you do that? Because Nikki Cross, being the champion, cashing in her Money in the Bank last week on Monday Night Raw, is not what's important here. What's important, and we cannot forget, is the mission here is to make it all about Charlotte. Charlotte is the star. Charlotte is Vince McMahon's pride and joy. She is the reason why we had a 20-minute opening segment featuring the 3 top women in the Raw division, giving us the most terribly written, poorly executed promos that we got for most of the night. And then they kept doing it. It wasn't good enough that we had this opening segment. We had to hear from Nikki Cross again. We had to hear from Rhea Ripley again. We had to hear from Charlotte Flair again on this night. And then we had to do the main event in which Nikki Cross loses to Charlotte Flair and then has like a post-match confrontation with Charlotte. Charlotte telling Nikki Cross pretty much, "You're worthless. You don't belong here. She's the division. She's the best. Yada, yada, yada." And then Nikki Cross, Nikki A.S.H, should be called Nikki A.S, because I don't get this character at all. You just lost the women's... No, I'm sorry. You just lost your match. You just won the women's championship. You lost 7 days after. And the best thing you could say is that I showed myself that I could almost win. I almost could have won. You're already the champion. You are supposed to win. You are supposed to win because you're the champ. You're supposed to be the best in the division. You're not supposed to be okay with almost winning. If the championship was on the line, you would have almost lost your title. Almost definitely, rather, I should say. You would have almost definitely lost your title, Miss Almost a Superhero, because you lost. You lost. If this was a title match, you would have lost. You wouldn't be the champion anymore, which doesn't make you good enough because you showed yourself you could have almost won. It makes you the loser of the women's championship. Now, the title wasn't on the line because that was the theme of the night, because they don't understand how to do number one contenders anymore, and they're taking non-title matches against the champion and just turning them into contender matches, and they have a fancy little matchup graphic for it and everything. It has an official match title now. It's a contenders match, a Raw Women's Champion contenders match, a United States Champion contenders match, and really it's just a non-title match in disguise. It's absolutely ridiculous. So Nikki Cross goes on to say this about herself. I almost could have won. I showed myself I almost could have won, and almost doesn't get the bills paid, honey. It really doesn't. But she's confident that she could beat Charlotte, even though she just showed the world that she couldn't, and she challenges her to a rematch next week, to which Charlotte accepts. So now next week on Monday night, we are going to have a rematch of what was one of the matches tonight that nobody wanted to see in the first place. Instead of booking your new champion strong, it's bad enough she's got this shit new gimmick, and I know it was her idea, and it pains me to not be feeling this gimmick, but she's not selling it. She's not selling whatever this is. She's claiming she's got confidence, but her promos definitely don't show that. It doesn't reflect the confidence because it doesn't seem like she's confident in herself at all when she's speaking. So she's kind of contradicting herself right there, but she's just playing it too seriously, and she's trying to play to the little children and the kiddies in the crowd, and I know that's okay. There's a place for that and everything, but you can't do that and then expect the rest of the crowd, the tweeners and the teenagers and the people 20 and over 40 to invest in a grown-ass woman who is saying she's a superhero, but not quite. I'm not quite a superhero, but I'm trying, and that's okay. And that's a good message. It's a good message, but you could have got that over in a better way. First thing you could have done is given her a better name. The name is shit. The name is shit. Her music, her look, everything just needs work. The costume, I could get over. If you would have called her like the Papillion, or name her after a specific fucking butterfly, name her Power Girl, something. Well, you can't, that's trademarked, but you get my drift. Don't just name her this right off the bat with that name. 50% of the people you had a shot with getting her over with are checking out next. That name is garbage. I can't wear merchandise that says that. It's stupid. It's stupid. And why they didn't take this gimmick and play it the way they played the Hurricane, I don't know. There's already a prototype for this, and to let it get over. Be silly. Own it. Act like you really believe you're a superhero. Don't say you're almost a superhero. Give her a superhero name. Go all in. Don't be afraid. It's like you're afraid to do it. And this was her idea. She wanted to be a superhero. She probably brought it to the WWE, and then they shit out this version of something that was probably much cooler in her head. And now she's at their mercy, and she's got to speak their words, and it doesn't seem genuine, and that's why it's not getting over as big as it should be. Sure, there are some people popping for her in the crowd, rightfully so. She does deserve it. She put some time in, but maybe not in the traditional sense, but from what I've seen out of her in her time in NXT, she's deserving of the spotlight for sure. Deserving of the championship? Maybe not so much. Not in this incarnation anyway. They did nothing to build her up, and now 7 days after winning the championship, she lost. Because we have to never forget that Charlotte is the best. And out of this, we get another rematch. This is how they're building a triple threat match for SummerSlam. It's going to be Rhea versus Charlotte versus Nikki. What are the odds she comes out of this with that belt? Probably 0. This was the entire tone of the evening. It just totally sucked. The whole entire night was just one disappointment after another. Damian Priest defeating United States Champion Sheamus in a non-title match. Decent match, good action. These guys got good chemistry, but you shouldn't be having Damian Priest pinning the champion to establish the fact that he can. And these people just are completely lazy and devoid of any true ideas or any creativity, and they just keep going to the same well over and over and over and over again, making us drink the same fucking water, and we're the crazy ones because we're expecting things to change, but everything continues to stay exactly the same. Case in point, rematch time on Monday Night Raw. AJ Styles and Omos defeated the Viking Raider Warrior Raiders to retain the Raw Tag Team Championships. Are you surprised? Absolutely not. What surprised me more than anything about this match is that AJ and Omos are not getting an entrance on television. They're your World Tag Team Champions. Why aren't they getting TV time coming out with the belts around their waist? Oh, that's right, because they're getting cheered. AJ Styles, one of the greatest wrestlers on the planet, who was being wasted week after week in this absolutely senseless and useless tag team. This guy should be wrestling with guys like Riddle, with guys like Bobby Lashley, with guys like, dare I even say, Roman Reigns. He's one of the best wrestlers in the world. And he's being sandbagged with a giant Gonzalez 2.0. And if he can prove me wrong by showing me some wrestling skills by the end of the year, I'll take those words back. But as of right now, Omos is just El Gigante 2.0. The great Khali all over again. And he's bringing down AJ Styles along with him. What is a win over the Viking Raider Warrior Raiders win for these guys tonight? Nothing. It establishes that they are the Raw Tag Team Champions. That's it. They're able to beat people in matches. It's okay, I guess, but we've seen this already. I don't need to see this again. You know what that means? We're probably going to see it next week one more time. Somehow the Viking Raiders will earn another shot, because who the hell else is there? There is nobody else. This was a waste of time. It is a waste of AJ Styles and a waste of our time. If I said that twice, then that's just how much of a waste it actually was. I don't get it. I don't get it. Doesn't matter that the action was good, once again, if the story behind it is complete shit. AJ and Omos would come back later on in the night to interact with my second least favorite tag team on the Raw roster, the Miz and Morrison, who are dripping on their juices all over fucking Raw tonight. We'll get to that in a minute. Because if you want to talk about things that make you not want to watch Raw, like Miz and the Morrison, you have to bring up Drew McIntyre. Now, this is a shame, because I was a big Drew McIntyre fan. I was a huge mark for Drew McIntyre when he was in NXT, doing his thing down there, wrestling Andrade, tearing down the house. When he first came up, I thought, here we go, Drew's going to be great. And then he got the short end of the stick. He got shafted by the coronavirus and, taking the fans away from pro wrestling for the last 2 years, and won his world championship in front of absolutely nobody. So, I understand, that it's been rough for Drew, but his time has passed. because this babyface version of Drew McIntyre, though he didn't give us any history lessons tonight, thank God, he just comes off the way Roman used to come off. He's just very generic, very bland, very corporate babyface. And you're not going to help me get more interested in this Drew McIntyre by pairing him up into a feud with Jinder fucking Mahal. It's not going to happen. And tonight, Drew McIntyre comes out there to confront Jinder Mahal. Jinder comes out with his two schmucks, and he's cutting a promo, and he's got a fucking lawyer with him, and he's all upset because he wants Drew to apologize for beating the shit out of this guy 30-something times with a chair last week, which is something that didn't go over very well with most of us. It didn't go over very well with Mick Foley as well, as he alluded to the fact where spots like that should be saved for things that fucking matter, not a random throwaway segment of Monday Night Raw. And he should know, having had suffered probably the worst chair beating in the history of WWE, and it's still worse than what happened to Schmear last week, or Stanky, or whichever one of the two schmucks it was, because he got them to the head from The Rock. Okay, so I think Mick Foley knows what he's talking about. Anyway, this gets progressively worse. Drew McIntyre comes out. He's telling Jinder Mahal to shut up, stop talking, and then he asked the crowd, he said, should I apologize to Jinder or should I buy him a steak dinner? I didn't know that a steak dinner was on the table. All right, now I would have told you to buy the man a steak. And actually, it would have saved us from having to see everything else that is going to go on, because Drew embarrassed himself even further because he said he's going to start a chant. Now, listen, it's one thing to say something and then the crowd jumps on it and gets it going, right? But Drew McIntyre's like, oh, I got something. You're speaking of chants. I love the chants coming back. I want the crowd to chant something for me. I thought he was going to come out with something special. I thought he was going to say, Jinder, Schminder, or, something relevant to what's going on. But he just went in his back pocket and pulled out something we've heard a million times for a million different superstars, which is the gonna kill you shtick. And he wanted everybody to chant, Drew's gonna kill you, to Jinder. Now, to me, the first time I ever really heard that, the first time I've ever chanted that, and the only time I feel like it really should be used is for Samoa Joe. Joe's Gonna Kill You was a tune that used to play in the arenas at TNA Impact, and it was beautiful back then. It's since transferred over to NXT. I know they use it a lot over there. But the gonna kill you thing, it's like begging. It's like he's begging. Please like me, fans. Can you say this for me? Because it's not that the fans aren't over with Drew. It's just we don't give a shit about what Drew is doing right now. And by doing that, by the time it's over, nobody's going to be over with Drew anymore. Or rather, Drew's not going to be over with any of us anymore. Raw melts my brain into mush. Plus, it's very late and I'm very tired. We had a very busy day here. I'm on vacation. We went to the aquarium today. Had a lot of things to do. Much better with my time than watch an episode of Monday Night Raw. But here I am. And here we are, bringing the hammer down on this piece of shit like we always do. We had a women's tag team championship situation. It wasn't a match. The tag team champions, Natty and Tamina, took on Eva Marie and Doudrop in a non-title match. And this non-title match would differ from the other ones on the evening because the champions would actually win. Yeah. Surprise, surprise. This match was ridiculous. It barely went 5 minutes, if that long. Eva Marie had a wardrobe malfunction, and Natty hurt herself legit. Natty legit got injured. Looked like it was during some sort of an exchange with Doudrop, and she was escorted out of the arena or out of the ring and up the ramp to the backstage area by medical professional and her tag team partner. So hopefully everything's okay for Natty. And I don't care at all about anything that happened here. And I don't think most people do. If you like Natty and Tamina, great. Your team got a win tonight. If you like the other two, what's fucking wrong with you? Go seek mental help. NXT champion Karrion Kross, after being embarrassed on national television last week by Jeff Hardy, comes back to Monday Night Raw tonight to regain a measure of respect. But Vince isn't going to let this go unstained. Oh no. Oh no. You know, Triple H was probably pissed and demanded that he make Kross look better on TV. And he didn't get a rematch against Jeff Hardy to get his win back. Oh, no, because even though that's generally what Vince would do, he needs to dig the knife into the back of Vince just a little bit harder, into Triple H rather, just a little harder, just a little bit deeper, and then twist it. Because if I'm going to give your champion from NXT a win on my show, I'm going to take your other NXT guy that everybody loves, and I'm going to make him be the loser. So either way, NXT looks like a big honking piece of shit. Because how is Karrion Kross even going to come back from that? Like, people didn't give a shit about him in the arena tonight. The main roster has already been ruined for Karrion Kross. He comes out there tonight, and now he puts the screws to Keith Lee. They had a decent match. It almost went about 10 minutes. It seemed a little bit slow, but Keith Lee taps out to Karrion Kross. And this is unforgivable. Both of these guys coming out of last week needed a big win. Keith Lee got destroyed by Bobby Lashley last week. And now this week, he gets beaten to hell by Karrion Kross, who just last week was beaten in 3 minutes by Jeff Hardy. So how does that make Keith Lee look even worse? And no mic time for Kross, no mention of Jeff Hardy, nothing. He just comes out here, beats Keith Lee. That's the end of the night. Why is Karrion Kross still on Monday Night Raw? Absolute garbage. And where was Jeff Hardy? There's another name missing from the show tonight. Goes out there, beats the NXT champion last week, missing in action this week. What? Mansoor and Mustafa Ali teamed up tonight for the first time ever and defeated established tag team Mush and Teabags from Retribution. They did mention the former history between Mustafa Ali and Retribution, but none of it matters because it's still a bunch of dog shit. This match wasn't given any time to breathe. Mason T-Bar, you could just flush them down the toilet. They're two buried treasures that you'll never find, even if you had a map with a big red X on it. And then you got Mansoor and Mustafa Ali, which is good to see them get a win. Maybe this team would be good, but correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't Mustafa Ali, like weeks ago, trying to recruit Mansoor, trying to be like, hey, come along with me and I'll show you how to be a winner? And I was sitting here like, how can he do that when he just fucking failed with Retribution so terribly? But I was open to it and I was ready to give it a chance. So now tonight, Mustafa Ali seems a little bit reluctant in this teaming with Mansoor, and then they go out there and they beat these two guys, and then it was like Mustafa Ali was not happy about it. It's like he didn't want to win. He kept reprimanding Mansoor throughout the match for certain spots and things like that. Obviously, he's not into this, but Mansoor definitely is, and then Mansoor picks up the win by surprise, thanks in large part to some help from Ali. But Ali didn't seem happy about it at all. He was not enthusiastic whatsoever. There was no celebration, but Mansoor's jumping around. He's hugging him. He's grabbing him. We did it. So I don't understand the direction in which we are headed with these two. However, I am still interested. One of the few things on Monday Night Raw that I want to see play out is whatever's happening here with Ali and Mansoor. Keep Retribution and everybody else out of this. Let's turn this into something else. You know what else they should turn into something else? Whatever they're thinking about when they book Bobby Lashley segments. Bobby Lashley comes out tonight to respond to Bill Goldberg's challenge last week. The challenge heard around the world that had most of us here holding the vomits in the back of our throat and threatening to bring the hammers down harder than ever before. I'm just so tired of these relics from the past showing up and taking the spotlight. You know, it's even shown when they had a segment tonight, they wanted to feature some of the U.S. athletes, U.S. Olympic athletes. I don't know if this was a commercial being shown on USA, maybe it was just to us in the United States. I don't know if it was seen worldwide, but they were these commercials featuring the United States Olympic athletes where they were talking about their favorite superstars, and they mentioned superstars like Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock and other names that don't wrestle anymore. And to me, that's far more detrimental, right? Because imagine getting an Olympic athlete in the 80s going, who's your favorite wrestler? While Hulk Hogan's hanging and banging and doing the whole rock and wrestling thing around in the 80s, and he's like Bob Backlund. That doesn't look good for Hogan. Doesn't look good for wrestling as a whole. That means these people either, A, haven't watched wrestling since the late 90s, early 2000s, or B, still watch wrestling, but don't have any new favorite fucking wrestlers. So that's embarrassing. And that's what you get. And because of that, and because of things like that, these are the reasons why WWE feels like we need to bring back a Bill Goldberg. So anyway, we're on this road, right? So MVP starts talking about Goldberg disrespecting Bobby Lashley. And they were piping in crowd noise with the Goldberg chants because they didn't last very long. And then there would be like one guy going, Goldberg, Goldberg, Goldberg. Then all of a sudden the whole arena, Goldberg, Goldberg, Goldberg. And then it would slowly fade out. And it was so generic and so fake and so blatantly obvious. You can tell the difference between the actual live crowd and the canned audio, especially when you're looking at the crowd and they're not moving not one microcosm of an inch, and the audio would lead you to believe that the fans should be raucously cheering for a 50-year-old grandpa. All right, so long story short, they took this promo and turned it into a let's make the fans even more mad segment, because in order to build up Bobby Lashley for Bill Goldberg, they decide to throw it to him not just one, but both former members of the Hurt Business. Cedric Alexander comes out, he starts talking shit to Bobby Lashley, and then you got Shelton Benjamin, he comes out, he starts talking shit to Cedric Alexander, telling him how annoying his voice is, talking to Bobby Lashley, telling him if he wants a real challenge. Next thing you know, everybody's ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. And then Bobby Lashley's like, I'll take yous both on. And then we have a handicap match. And former Intercontinental Champion, former multiple-time World Tag Team Champion Shelton Benjamin, and his former World Tag Team Champion best friend, and whatever the hell they were as a team, Cedric Alexander, were both simultaneously buried by Bobby Lashley, losing in just 3 minutes. Now, while this was another little dagger to the heart to the fans, I think, because it's too soon. Just too soon. You broke up the Hurt Business for no reason, and now you got them fighting each other because you have nothing else for Bobby Lashley to do, and you need to play on whatever it is he has in his past. And thankfully they didn't go back to his sisters, and they just went back to the Hurt Business. And all that needs to happen here, especially from what I've seen tonight. Now come along on this little ride with me. MVP, with Goldberg in his sights for SummerSlam, should reform the Hurt Business. Reach out to Cedric, reach out to Shelton, be like, look, Bobby owns you boys. We just embarrassed you on TV. It was our fault, our mistake letting you go. We need you guys to be back with us. Come back to the family, come back to the fold, and let them come back in. And then you have MVP go and get Keith Lee. Keith Lee, come to the Hurt Business, brother. Nobody appreciates you. Nobody respects you. You should be a champion. You should be rolling with us. Plus, it keeps Keith Lee out of the target of Bobby Lashley as champion. You've already destroyed that possibility of making that a match. That would be intriguing, so might as well make Keith Lee Bobby Lashley's heavy. The guy you got to get through to get to the champ. Have a nice new little faction. You know what, for the hell of it, bring Mia Yim along. Mia Yim, Keith Lee's real life wife slash fiance. I'm not sure if they're actually married yet, but they are together. Throw her in there with the Hurt Business. Make her dominate in the women's division. We have our faction back again. It's made better by its new additions, and you're off to the races. And then just have them beat the shit out of Bill Goldberg every time he shows his face until SummerSlam. And then send him back to the retirement home and leave Bobby Lashley alone at the top with his stable intact. That's what I would do. Hopefully that's their direction, but I certainly doubt it. AJ Styles and Omos would show up once again. They want to talk to The Miz and John Morrison backstage. This would lead us into the Morrison-Riddle match, which was very good. Went about 10 minutes long, but it was very annoying to watch The Miz simulate jacking off all over Monday Night Raw tonight with his stupid dripstick dipsticks that he's got, and he's sitting there with the whole face and everything. I know he's pretending to whack off, like it's so obvious, bro. And then you got the spray shooting all over, and then he's shooting it at the announce team, and it's just, get out of the wheelchair already. And if you can't, stay off TV, because it's just cringy. It's just cringy, and it's taken away from what was a very good, very athletic match until the finish. Of course, WWE has to have their way, and AJ and Omos come out. They distract Riddle just for a second by Omos crushing Matt Riddle's scooter across his leg, distracting him long enough for John Morrison to end up securing the win here. Typical WWE bullshit. Bullshit booking. And Randy Orton again, nowhere to be found. The crowd here thought Randy Orton was coming back. They kept chanting, Randy, Randy. And we all thought we were going to get that as Styles and Omos were kind of stalking over a fallen Matt Riddle following this. But that didn't happen. Then we had Reginald defeating R-Truth to regain the 24/7 championship, which, as I told you, was just fucking ridiculous. Nobody in the crowd gave a shit about it. Nobody was laughing. Nobody popped, and nobody gave a shit when Reginald won. And then all of the clowns in the cavalcade of catering crap came running down the aisle to try to get the 24/7 title. You know, Humberto Carrillo and the rest of the worthless crop of talent that they did nothing with tonight. And then we had the main event segment. Charlotte Flair defeating Raw Women's Champion Nikki A.S.H. Almost a superhero. You almost got over, Nikki. Almost. Maybe if you would have won tonight, this could have went in a positive direction. But instead, you just go back with the rest of those who have fallen prey to the ever-looming presence of the Charlotte, which is going to come out on top every time. This whole thing, from the match to the post-match challenge slash confrontation segment, was fucking terrible. Terrible. And guess what? We get to see it again next week. You know what else you get to see again next week? Me. Because I will be here to bring the hammer down on next week's episode, as well as we continue on this road to SummerSlam, which thus far isn't shaping up to be all that great, outside of the possibility of John Cena and Roman Reigns. And where was John Cena tonight? He didn't decide to come back to Monday Night Raw. He planted his flag on SmackDown. He didn't even stick around long enough on SmackDown to come out and confront Roman Reigns on the end of the show on Friday, so why would we expect him to be on Raw? He did his job. He did his promotion. Roman's moved on to Finn already, and he'll be back probably the week or 2 weeks before SummerSlam to really build the final hype. But otherwise, a lot of people missing from this show. Way too much of the same old shit on this show. And as usual, Raw gets the dreaded poop hammer of death. Especially tonight. This is totally well earned by these guys. And it was just fucking awful. Everything about Monday Night Raw. Awful. Riddle me this, my friends. It's coming in a little late, but this is a nice little trick Not a trick. Nice little treat. Oh my God, what are we in Halloween? I'm saying trick or treat. Maybe because I'm looking at Matt Riddle in costume. I don't know. Stop making excuses. Riddle me this, everybody. Is Monday Night Raw going to be any different now that the fans have come back? Absolutely not. You already know. It's terrible. But I'll be here to try to make it entertaining for you once all is said and done. Especially those of you who decide not to watch Raw and to watch me instead, which you, my friends, have a much happier life than I. Because it never stops. So the hammer always drops. Thank you guys all so much. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is the team Thor the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. His tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in the world, Mr. Blue, the Yeti microphone, the most important member of the team as always. Each and every one of you. Now's your time to do your part and help support this channel. And there's many ways you could do that. Firstly, being a subscriber. Make sure you become a member of Sledge Nation by hitting that subscribe button right now. And make sure you're notified so you don't miss a single second of content when we drop the hammer here on YouTube. Then hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed yourself here today in any way. If I made you laugh, if I made you cry, if I made you understand why pro wrestling needs a smack in the face, hit that like button right now. Share this video with each and every one of your wrestling buddies all over the wrestling world, especially if they need a place that they can come call home and shit all over the WWE with people that want to shit on the WWE together with them. A nice loving community of my sledgeheads known as Sledge Nation. You're welcome to join, and that's how you can do so. Also, if you missed anything this week, any of the pay-per-view coverage, any of the WWE coverage, it will be up in the annotations up above for your viewing pleasure. I am working on some stuff right now. Hopefully we can get some special videos in the works. I'll keep you guys posted as the train keeps rolling along here at Sledgehammer TV. That, my friends, is going to do it. We are out of here, and we will see you next time right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com. And as always, we say...
Thanks, Vince. Oh.